Okay, so without further delay, please allow me to welcome Noah Mosley of MSX Group. Noah, are you there?
Thanks, Jason. I am with you. I appreciate the introduction. So let me switch over and share my desktop with you. And I should have the first slide of the PowerPoint on my screen there. Let me know if I don't, Jason.
I do see that, yep.
All right, we've got about an hour session with everyone this morning on Management Reporter for Microsoft Dynamics ERP. I've got a few slides for us to go through, and then we're going to jump into the product itself. As I go through this, Jason's going to help me watch the chat box and the question box on WebEx there. So if you do have questions as I go through these topics and the application, if you want to go ahead and type those questions in, Jason will help me watch those. I can answer those. Some of them we'll answer as we go through the presentation, and the rest we'll wait for the end of the session to cover up to cover those questions. So the topic for this one is for building financial reports is easier than you think using Management Reporter. It's a great product that Microsoft has come out with for Dynamics. My name is Noah Mosley. I am with the MSX Group. We are a consulting practice, and we specialize in training and consulting services and software support for Management Reporter, as well as for Forecaster and still FRX also, because a lot of people are still using FRX out in the field. And a lot of people are, you're using FRX and you're considering whether it's time for you to go to Management Reporter. A ton of people started migrating last year from FRX to Management Reporter. We're still seeing a lot of people do that this year. And I think this is really the year for you to switch from FRX to Management Reporter. For those people who are out there and are brand new to Management Reporter, I just want to mention the big picture about what Management Reporter does for us, so that everybody's on the same footing here. Management Reporter is your financial reporting package for Dynamics. You'll use this package to build all of your income statements, balance sheet statements, cash flow statements, trial balance statements, and any other supporting schedules that you want to pull together from your GL data. Now, it is only GL data, so it does not reach out to any subsystems like payroll or fixed assets. It's got to be balances that are posted to your general ledger. When we build these reports and generate these reports, you do have the drill down, so you can drill down through the top level of the balances to the exact account numbers where everything is posted to. And you can drill down past that to the transaction level details. And beyond that, you can drill back into the GL and go from there anywhere else you'll want to go. But for the reports, it's just GL data with drill down to the account balances and transaction details. I've got on my screen a list of components that get installed with the package. So Management Reporter comes with several different pieces that not everybody uses. So let me run through these with you so you'll be aware of what's out there with this installation. With Management Reporter, you've got Report Designer, and that is the application what you'll use to build and generate all of your financial statements. So it's a standalone application. You build the reports, you run those reports. To view the reports after you run them, that is going to be handled in a separate application. Those are the next two bullet points there. You've got the Report Library Viewer and you've got the Web Viewer. So Management Reporter is using those two options to view the data and the reports that you generate. The Library Viewer is a separate application. It's you can have it installed locally on your desktop or shared through Citrix or some other application sharing system. And the Library Viewer will let you look at any report you ever generate from Designer. And with this, you have the drill down capabilities. You can organize these reports into folders, like you might have monthly and annual folders that you organize all your archived financial statements. If you don't use the Library Viewer, you can use the Web Viewer, which is an option that just came out last year with Management Reporter. And it's just Internet Explorer. You're looking at these reports in a web browser. But it does look really, really good in the web browser. I like how the navigation is for the web browser. I'm pretty confident that Microsoft is going to devote their development to the Web Viewer going forward. The Library Viewer is still nice. They've got a lot of bells and whistles that the Web Viewer doesn't have yet. but when you see the two, you'll see the big difference, and I think you'll probably like the web viewer a great deal. With the web viewer, if you have people who are just viewing reports, they don't have to run them. There's no local installation. They just have to have Internet Explorer to pull up that report and peruse through the data. So easy distribution option there for your people who are just viewing reports. I mentioned the report queue there. That is the queue that shows you the status of every report you're generating. Anytime you click to generate a report from the designer, before it opens up in the library viewer or the web viewer, it's going to go through the report queue to be processed. You'll always see that pop up every time you click the generate button for a report. It just starts off in the queue, goes to processing, and then once it's completed, it'll open up in the viewer for us. So it's a separate application. Just shows you the status. All the work is being done on the server, the remote server for Managed Reporter, so the local desktop doesn't actually process the report. It's all done on the server for us. And I do mention there the migration wizard from FRX. Not everybody will need this migration wizard because not everybody will use FRX. You might be brand new to Dynamics and brand new to financial reporting inside Dynamics, so you wouldn't have any reason to have the migration wizard from FRX. And for some clients, even if they've used FRX in the past, they might just want to start brand new from scratch inside Managed Reporter with building brand new reports without doing the migration process. If you are going to migrate your reports from FRX over to Managed Reporter, it is a good little wizard that walks you through, copies all the building blocks from FRX over to Managed Reporter, the rows, columns, trees, and catalogs, IDs. I'll talk a little bit about that in a couple more slides, I think. If you do have the migration wizard, it's kind of a one-shot deal, although you can run it as many times as you want to. You run the wizard, it copies everything over to Managed Reporter. After that, I make a habit of uninstalling that migration wizard after you've run that, because every time you run the migration wizard, pretty much on the first or second window of that wizard, it deletes everything that's inside your Managed Reporter database. So it's a good practice to uninstall it so that a year later, somebody new to the company doesn't come in and say, oh, what is this? Starts it off and deletes all of your reports. Bottom 4 points there, I want to mention a little bit about the back end for Managed Reporter. Every report definition you build is going to be stored in a SQL database. So if you're using FRX in the past, it's a huge step forward from FRX. FRX stored all of its building block definitions in Access databases. Now we're going from Access to SQL. It's a huge step forward. So it's one Managed Reporter database that has all the report definitions. Microsoft has also added a middle database for us, a data mart. They did this to speed up the processing speed of reports. And it is the middle database between the Managed Reporter database and the GL database. And that data mart copies all of the account balances and transactions from the GL, stores in that middle database, and whenever you click Generate to run a report, all the details, the balances and transactions come out of that data mart database. If you have an earlier installation of Managed Reporter, they do not all have the data mart. You might just have the Managed Reporter database by itself, but going forward, Microsoft is dedicating itself to this middle data mart. So it's really helpful for the processing speed, and it's an easy installation. If you've already got MR on the legacy option, it's easy to change it from the legacy to the data mart. Mentioned the services there. There's two services that run on the server for Managed Reporter. Those control access to all the data, and there's also that second service that controls processing the reports. So two services control that for Managed Reporter. Those are on the server. Security is all based off of Windows authentication. So every user that logs into Managed Reporter has got to be a valid user on your network, and they've got to be logged into your network to get to the reports, and then set up inside Managed Reporter with their access rights. And then output options at the bottom. Every time you generate a report from Managed Reporter, you always get a copy of it in the library viewer, and you'll have a copy automatically in the web viewer. So a web page and the library viewer generate at the same time. Still, after that, if you want to send these reports out to Excel, print these to paper, or to XPS, those are options as well. XPS is Microsoft's version of PDF, so it's just a static copy. And if you do send these reports out to Excel or XPS, at that point it's just a file. There's no security tied to that report. So you can send that to anybody, whether they're on your network or not. Once we get into Managed Reporter, I want to mention how we're building reports. If you're brand new to it, these are really easy to navigate and get around to. These are building blocks inside Managed Reporter. You'll have row definitions, column definitions, reporting tree definitions, and then the report definitions themselves. Every report you build will have a row and a column. The row will tell Managed Reporter what every row in the report represents. Is it an account balance for that row? Is it a subtotal? Is it a header row? Every row in the body of the report. The column definition will tell Managed Reporter what every column of the report represents. Is it going to be pulling actuals, monthly balances, year-to-date balances? Is it pulling budget? You'll have a column definition detailing what every column of the report represents. You'll always have a row. You'll always have a column definition. You tie those together in the report definition, and you're ready to generate those reports. Reporting tree definitions are optional, but they do come in really handy, and they are required in some cases. Reporting tree definitions are required if you are pulling in balances from multiple GL databases. So if you need to see multiple GL companies on a single report, you'll have to have a reporting tree to pull all that data together from different databases. And reporting trees do come in handy if you're trying to summarize any of your dimensions or segments from the GL. So if you have a department dimension, you want to summarize that against an income statement, put those into a reporting tree, and it generates every department's income statement at one time, rolls them all up, all in one report. For those of us who are migrating from FRX, a few tips here for us on this slide for migration tips. You've got all of your existing reports inside FRX. Include all of your companies, specification sets, column layouts, row formats, reporting tree definitions, all that inside FRX. So some people, before you do the migration process, you might want to go back into FRX and clean up all that in FRX before you run the migration wizard. That way you'll have a fresh start in Managed Reporter. It won't be all cluttered with the stuff that has collected over the years inside FRX. So go back, delete any rows, columns, trees, report definitions that you're no longer using. You might have companies that you are no longer using inside FRX. You can delete those and old specification sets as well. If you do not do that in FRX, you'll end up doing it inside Managed Reporter. So it's preference, either you clean it up in FRX or you clean it up inside Management Reporter. After you run the migration wizard, you'll have reports in both. You'll have some cleanup to do after that process. It's always a good practice to run the reports inside FRX, run the same report inside Managed Reporter, compare those two, make sure they tie out and balance, and check them off your list as validated.
Hey, Noah, we have a couple of questions that have come in.
Jason, okay.
So the first one here is, can you change the column definitions on certain rows and vice versa?
Change the column definitions on certain rows. Don't follow that one.
Well,
the rows and columns are mix and matchable. You can use one row definition for as many different reports as you need to against as many different column definitions as you need to.
Right.
So I think that's what they want to make sure that you can reuse those row definitions and column definitions and mix and match them. Yes, you can. It's easy done.
All right. And another one on row definitions, can row definitions be linked together? This is currently you can do this in FRX. Right.
So it was an option inside FRX where you could link one row definition to another. They know that Microsoft knows that they want that inside Managed Reporter. In older versions, you couldn't do that. I have not seen it work in Managed Reporter yet, although I see options that they might be coming out with that, but I haven't seen it work yet for Managed Reporter.
And another question, do you need to be an MR user to access web reports?
Yes. So if you are trying to look at Managed Reporter reports in the web viewer, even though it's just Internet Explorer, it's still tied to your network ID. So you logged in that machine, you launched Internet Explorer, you try to pull a report up, it's going to read who you are when you logged into the machine. You've got to be a valid user inside Managed Reporter to open that report up. Plus, even though it's just Internet Explorer, you can't be like a coffee shop and just pull it up, pull the report up without being on your network, like a VPN connection or something. It's got to be able to validate your network ID against your company.
All right. One other question here, and then we'll let you move on.
Okay.
Can you change the? Sorry, I read that one. Can you include originating document info in MR?
You can. So when you have a transaction detail report, you can add columns to that report, like document numbers that will pull from the transaction details. And this can be in a separate column all by itself in that report.
Okay, that's all we have for now.
Okay, thanks, Jason. So that third bullet point there on the slide for migration tips, I just want to mention a few things that do not migrate with that wizard. Account sets, chain reports, row linking, and any unused rows, columns, and trees will give you trouble as well. So account sets, they do not migrate, and Managed Reporter does not let you know they do not migrate. It just drops them. So you actually need to go through FRX and make a note if you're using account sets inside FRX, and you have to recreate those inside Managed Reporter after the migration. Chained reports are the same thing. Those links, those chained reports do not migrate over, so it doesn't know what reports were all chained together. You just have to go through FRX, make a note of those, and recreate those inside Managed Reporter as a report group. Row linking does not migrate over to Managed Reporter in a reporting tree inside Management Reporter. Only one row definition can be used for every row in that tree. So it's a little bit different how it handles that in Managed Reporter, and that does not migrate. And if you have any rows, columns, and trees that are not tied to a catalog ID and a company in that catalog, those rows, columns, and trees will migrate over to Management Reporter, but it will drop any reference to any dimensions. Like it'll drop all your account number references. It'll drop all your department dimension ID references. And you would just have to add those back to those definitions inside Managed Reporter after the migration. And then that last bullet point tip to uninstall the migration wizard after you run it, so you do not run it by accident later and delete everything in Managed Reporter. All right, so I'm going to switch over to our server for Managed Reporter and give you a tour of the product. Jason's still watching that chat box for me and the question box in WebEx as I go through this, so just type those in as I go through anytime.
Yes, we do actually have a couple other questions here. I don't know if maybe you want to save them till later. One has to do with corruption in the data mart database, and another one has to do with having multiple companies, different currencies, and consolidating balances.
Okay, so that first one about the data mart database.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had several instances where the data mart might be missing balances, or I've even had some where it doubles the balances. I had one today where I had doubled the balances for certain months. If you're going through a implementation process and you are maybe you have the GL databases and you're restoring that GL database over itself on a regular basis, the data mart might accidentally copy those balances again and double the money. So it doesn't realize that it's already copied it once because it was a database restore or something like that. The data mart, you can delete it and recreate it really easily on the server side. That gets rid of those transactions that might give you trouble. In previous versions of data mart, that was way more prevalent. With the new releases, there's I see less and less of that situation. But if you ever end up you're missing data in the data mart or you see double balances, it's easy for you to go in there, delete that database, and rebuild it.
All right. Yep.
And I forgot the second one there.
Yeah, and just to follow up, I didn't read that full question, but the person was currently doing rebuilds and wondered if that's what you've seen. It sounds like you have. So the other question, I have multiple companies with the same chart of accounts in different currencies. Can I consolidate the balances in one column using any reporting currency? If yes, where does it get the exchange rates from?
Yeah, so in that situation, FRX used to have rates in a rate table, and FRX could handle the currency translations for you. With Management Reporter, all the rates have got to be stored in the GL database. So no rates are stored inside Management Reporter. The General Ledger handles all of the rates and all the translations for you. So yes, you can get all that into a single report, all consolidated and rolled together. But all the rates and conversions have to first be set up inside the GL database.
All right, we have a few other questions coming in here. I don't know if you want to take them now or maybe hold off until the next.
Let me jump into the application for a little bit, and then we'll come back to some more questions.
All right, great. And just a note to the folks on the line, thanks for all the great questions. Please try to, if you can, enter the questions in the Q&A block. It is a little easier for us to sort of manage the queue that way, although we'll try to get to any questions we see coming in from any direction here, including on Twitter if you want to use the hashtag MSDWBI. Okay. Sorry, no, back to you.
Thanks, Jason. Okay. So I've got on my screen a report that I generated from Management Reporter. We're looking at it in the library viewer. The navigation here, the report is in the center of the window here for us. I ran this report with a reporting tree. So the tree shows up on the top left here for me. I see all departments. You can easily switch to any part of this reporting tree. This is just a list of departments that roll up together. If I switch to sales, just one click updates that report for us. Switch to accounting and switch back to the top level, all departments. So using a tree, I've got this income statement for the entire company or all those departments rolled together, as well as a separate income statement for every department in this reporting tree. So trees are optional, but they do come in handy like that for this situation, and they are required if you are bringing in balances from multiple GL databases. For this report here, I've got just first quarter for this report. With Management Reporter, you've got report headers. When you build these reports, you control what every row represents. I've got this from sales through net income. All of that is detailed in our row definition. I'll show you that in just a minute. Every column is defined in our column definition. We've got a description column, January, February, March, and this report is actually set up for every month by quarter, all 4 quarters. I just ran it for March, so only the first quarter shows up. I'll show you the column definition just a little bit. When you're building the report definitions, you can put in any headers or footers that you need to for any of these reports you build. You can also do company logos. I've got this one for Fabricam, the top left here. So something different from FRX. FRX, you could not put any graphics in the reports. Now you can with Management Reporter. On the right-hand side, we've got a section for comments and charts and graphs. I've already added a sales chart here for us. You can add charts and graphs to any report you generate. Just a matter of selecting a row or a column and selecting what type of chart or graph you want to add to this report. Whenever you add these charts and graphs, they're kind of saved or automatically with the report, so the next person that opens up this report can see this same chart or graph that you added. And once you build these charts and graphs, you can right-click and make any changes you need to. So if I just wanted to see the money from January and February, I'll just uncheck March to get my graph to update itself. So great addition there for us. That's an optional thing. You don't have to have charts and graphs with these reports. Comments are easy as well, so you can just right-click on any of these rows in the report, select comment, and type in the text for that row there. And when you click OK, this comment is tied to this report, and it's added to the right-hand side for us with the name of who added it, the administrator, that's me, the date and time as well, the text, and it also adds a little comment icon on the left of that row, so I know that this row has got that comment tied to it. So it comes in really handy if you've got actuals to budget and you need to go through and add in comments for all the variances here. All these reports you can have drill down, so I can go to the account report here. If I want to see where the payroll taxes are coming from, I can double click anywhere on this row to drill down to the account level details. I can see the exact account number the money was posted to. And if you run the report for transaction level details, you can double click anywhere on this row and drill down to the transaction details for that account. And from there, if you have the general ledger open, you can drill back from here back into the GL. Easy navigation, you get the back button up top to jump back to the reports you were looking at before. And I'm back on the top level here for this report. It's easy navigation. You've got a lot of great additions here with charts and graphs and comments, report entries on the left. This is the library viewer, so it's a standalone application. You can look at any report you generate from Designer. There's a button in the lower left for report data, which I'm looking at currently. I've got a button for our report library. If I click on that, I'll see the library of all the reports I've ever generated from Management Reporter. So if I click this plus icon next to library, I'll see all the folders I've added. So I've got 2012 and all the monthly folders, and each one of these will have the reports I've kind of archived in those folders. And you can add as many folders as you need to organize all these archived reports. You can organize it by time periods. You might organize it by managers or departments or regions or anything else you want to. And I really consider these my archived reports. Looking back here at this report definition, or report that was generated, I'm going to look at this inside Designer next to see how it was built. And I'm going to look at the row definition and the column definition and the reporting tree definition as well. So to see those definitions, I've already got it open at the bottom here for us. The report definition is waiting in this separate application, which is Report Designer. And in this window, a little bit about the navigation. I've got the report already open here on the body of this window. On the left-hand side is the main navigation for Management Reporter Designer. I've got a section for all the report definitions, and they're all listed at the top of the page here, top left. Same thing for all of my row definitions. Column definitions, and reporting tree definitions. So easy to jump back and forth between any of these definitions or any of these building blocks. Let's look at the row definition for that report first. When you're building reports, I've got this row definition for us. This is for that income statement. I've got text in column B. I've got all my account numbers referenced in column J, linking out to the GL. So each row knows exactly what account number it's pulling back from the GL database. This report, if you want to do formatting, you can change any of these. All the fonts, font sizes, and styles are available that you have in any typical Office product like Excel or Word. Just a matter of selecting these from the drop-down boxes and making changes wherever you want to change these. So when you're building your row definitions, you control what every row represents. Is it pulling an account number? Is it going to be a calculation like gross margin? I have a calculation and the formula in column D that just refers to row code numbers from column A. And I'm just taking row 80, which is sales, and subtracting row code 140, which is cost of goods sold. So formulas are easy to add for subtotal calculations, header rows, or anything else you want to add to the body of the report. And you can have as many rows here as you need to. So if you need, if you need 1,000 rows, you can have those on the row definition here. Looking at the column definition, let me jump back to the report. column definition for that report. A lot of columns here. Let me just discuss these briefly with you. It's kind of a split screen for the column definitions. We've got a header section for the column headers. This is the header for each individual column, not the report header itself. That's done separately. But we've got headers for the columns. And then the body of this has all the details for each column. I've got several columns here listed. Column A is my description column, just putting the text in my reports. I've got several FD columns. FD stands for financial dimensions, so that column is going to pull back financial dimension data from the GL database. And you can pull actual or budget or anything else you've got stored inside the GL database. I've got a year reference and a period reference. Our year, we use the word base as a generic placeholder, so I don't have to come in here and hard code what year this column definition pulls from. I just use the word base, and right before I generate the report, I pick my year that I want to run the report for, and this column reads from that selection. This one does have the periods hard-coded because of the quarters. I can use the word base, though, as well for certain report types. And when you get ready to generate your report, you pick your year and your month, and these columns would read from that if you're using the base concept. This one's a little bit different, where the months are hard-coded for these individual columns. When you're building these reports, you can have as many columns here as you need to. So if you needed actuals right beside budget with a variance column for all 12 months, you can have as many columns here as you need to. If you needed calculation columns as well, it's easy to add calculation columns. And those formulas would just reference the letter codes from each column above. Just a matter of taking maybe C minus B to come up with the calculation for that column. If you need that column to be a percentage, I'll do C divided by B. Percentage, I can set that formatting for that whole column as percentages, set my number of decimal places, and that's all set up for us. Easy done. You can have as many columns for calculations or as you need for the report you're setting up. A little bit about the column headers for us. These are easy to add here. You can type in text. Some of this, if it never changes, just type in the text there. A lot of this is coded for calculations. There are formulas so that I don't have to come in here and hard code the word January. If I had reports where that column might change, I would come in here and use insert auto text. So we have a lot of options built in for formulas that pull in the text for us automatically. So looking at the column definition, you're going to have a column definition for every report you build. Same thing with the rows. You'll have a row definition for every report you build. And you just tie those together in the report definition itself. These columns and row definitions are mix and matchable. You can build this column definition and use it against 50 different row definitions. Same thing the other way. One row definition used against 50 different column definitions. So they're easy to mix and match, and they're reusable, really flexible for building these reports. There's a lot of other options here for the column definitions. Those are the main ones, though: description, FD columns, pulling from the GL database, calculation columns. Someone asked earlier about transaction columns. I can add a column here to the left, set this to an attribute, and then the attribute category for that column could be anything in this list. It might be what journal entry is it, or what document number. So you can pull that into those column definitions, generate the report, drill down to the transaction level detail page, and this column will show up with those details. Going to look at the reporting tree definition next for us. Reporting trees are optional. They do come in pretty handy though when you're building reports. This reporting tree you've got here for that one we looked at previously is just a list of departments. So it's kind of a split screen. On the right hand side, every row in the spreadsheet type layout will have all the details for that part of the reporting tree, like what company is it pulling from, unit name is just text, same thing for column C. And then column D is kind of like a filter telling Management Reporter that it only pulls back balances for a specific code for that dimension. And then in the middle, you've got kind of a graphical display, and it really helps display what rolls into what. You might have summary levels that summarize a group of departments. And on the middle side here, I can just click some of these departments and drag those up to that new summary. So it's easy to see what rolls up into what. And now if I use this reporting tree against an income statement, I have an income statement for every part of this tree. I have a separate income statement for administration, a separate income statement for accounting, another one for sales. I'd also have accounting, sales, and service all rolled up under one page by itself also. So reporting trees are optional, but they do come in really handy for summarizing any of the dimensions that you have in your companies. All of this, the rows, columns, and trees, you tie those together in the report definitions themselves. As soon as you go through, you make your selections for what row you're using, what column you're using, and if you're going to use a tree at all, which tree. Save all that. There's some other settings you can do inside the report definitions themselves, but before you generate, you pick your year you're going to run the report for. You pick what month you want to run the report for, and generate the report. That sends it through the report queue to be processed, and as soon as that finishes, it opens up in the library viewer or the web viewer if you want to use the web viewer instead. And let me bring up a report in the web viewer for us to show you the difference between this library viewer and the web viewer. I do have one, I think, that I ran it for a group of reports, our monthly reporting package. Let me just right-click and copy that URL, that link, and I'll go over and open up that in Internet Explorer. A second to resize this column for us. So this is just Internet Explorer. I'll right-click and paste that URL, that link I just copied. Open that report for us. This is the web viewer, and it's just Internet Explorer. And every green box is a report that I included in this package. So I've got the income statement. I've got another version of the income statement with percent calculations. I've got a cash flow report. And I can click on any of these green boxes to open up that report. So easy to open up these reports. This is all Internet Explorer. If you use the reporting tree, the tree shows up at the lower left. So it's easy to switch to any of these different departments and pull up that department's income statement. And also with that, all these numbers, if you ran these reports with account level detail and transaction level details, you can click on any of these rows that are hyperlinks, so you just click it once, and it drills down to the exact account number everything is posted to, and click it again to drill down to the transactions if you have transaction level details here. And you get the back button to browse back to the previous report we were looking at. These reports that are here on each of these green boxes, you can click on those to open up them in the current tab. You can also right click and insert or open those in new tabs or new windows. So you can have all your reports all in one instance of Internet Explorer, all opened up on different tabs. Send those out to anybody who should have access to these reports. and as long as they're set up as a valid user, they can navigate any which way they need to in here. So the web viewer just came out last year with Management Reporter. I think it's a great addition. It's an easy option to get your reports out to your the people who need the reports, the ones that are not running reports. They're just reading the data you give them. It's easy for them to navigate around in, double-click, drill down into the details, and have it all in one location. Jason, any questions I want to take before I jump into the next thing here?
There are quite a few questions in the queue right now. I don't think we could probably get to all of them and still have time for you to finish your demo.
Well, you know, I'm pretty much through all the topics here, and I was just going to go back and look at the different building blocks or applications that people wanted to go back to. So maybe we could start taking some of those here.
All right, great.
While you're looking at that, let me just summarize what we covered so far. We looked at the library viewer, that report. We showed the navigation for the library viewer and all the folders in there organized in the reports that we considered archived. We went over to the report designer where we build and run reports, and inside the designer we looked at the row definition, the column definition, and a reporting tree definition, and all the things that went inside those to build that report. And then this last piece here was the web viewer, and I pulled up one of a monthly reporting package that has 6 different reports all combined here for somebody. So that was the big overview for Management Reporter. If you have Management Reporter, you install it, at least for the latest version, you'll have all these pieces. They all come with it. Not all of your users back in the company will need Designer. They may just have Web Viewer, or they may just have the Library Viewer.
Yeah, so I think there's a question here that might relate to that. Someone's asking if they'd like to, can they send a URL link to their board members so that they can view the reports in Internet Explorer without needing security or access to Management Reporter?
So they can send the link, but that person has got to be on the network for the company, and they've got to be a valid user inside Management Reporter. Everything for the web viewer is based off of Windows authentication, so they've got to be a valid user.
All right, there was another question here about exporting. Let me see if I can find it here. Exporting reports to PDF format.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, it's gone here. But yeah, I mean, oh, here it is. So is there any option to output PDF built to PDF? Is there a built-in option for that for those who don't like to use XPS?
Right, so it's not a PDF option, it's XPS, which is Microsoft's version. So your only option is to send it out to Excel or send it out to XPS and then do file save as a PDF.
Okay.
If you print a report, when you print it, a lot of people have PDF as an option in the print drop-down selection. So you could click print and pick PDF as well.
All right, let me hit a few more of the questions that have come in here. Can MR send out emails similar to FRX?
So when you generate a report inside FRX, you could have it set up to send out emails automatically to users. So Management Reporter does not currently have that option. They know it's a big request, but they have not built that into the product yet. What you could do, if you want to send out email automatically, and you're using SharePoint, you can generate a report for Management Reporter. It goes out to SharePoint, and you can have a SharePoint alert that sends an email to those people saying, hey, you have a new report available. So emails, an automatic email is an option through SharePoint, but not from directly inside Management Reporter.
Okay, great. And I saw a couple of other people asking the same thing. Moving on here, is there an example company with formats like 2Inc in FRX, so that you can see how some different formats may be drafted? We do not have one, but do you know if maybe it was just not installed?
Right. So back in Designer, with the later installations of Management Reporter, they've added and I don't see them listed here. They've added templates for reports. So if you have a release of Managed Reporter, you can go in here to Designer. Under Report Definitions, you'll see a folder that would say Default Report Definitions. And they've got several listed, probably about 20 reports that they've set out there as templates for all your income statement variations, balance sheets, cash flow statements, trial balance statements. So that's an option as far as templates. So it's not a company itself, it's just templates for the row definitions, columns, and trees.
All right, next question. Does MR have multi-company functionality and multi-database functionality?
Sure can. So you'll have to have a reporting tree to pull them together into a single report, but you can link to as many GL databases as you need to, as many different currencies as you need to. But you have to have a reporting tree.
All right. Exporting to Excel has had some issues with header alignment, this person says. Do you have any recommendations on exporting to Excel?
So, and when you send these reports out to Excel, they do handle the headers differently than how FRX would have. FRX would send the report headers out to like row 1 of Excel. Now, Managed Reporter will send those report headers out to the Excel header section. There's no way to really get around that. If you're in Excel and you switch to normal view, that does away with the header section, and or at least it hides it. But there's no option for moving that header section down to row 1. It's always going to be in Excel's header section. So no way around that. If you have logos, that usually pushes it out of line. But you can get around that by making sure the size of your logos are shrunk down to the real size, so it doesn't overlap or push out the other text in the report headers.
All right, we have a follow-up question to something that was asked earlier regarding linking together of row definitions. Our attendee asks, having linked row formats, should we wait to embrace MR, and should we wait to create reports?
Well, there's no guarantee that they're going to make that functionality the same in Managed Reporter as they did inside FRX. So if I was going through that question, I'd go ahead and migrate and find a way to build those reports inside Management Reporter the way it functions currently. So I wouldn't wait on saying, hey, are they going to do this in the future? Because they haven't said they will. So I'd go ahead and migrate, and if you have functionality you need that does not exist in Managed Reporter, find a way in Managed Reporter to work around that issue.
All right. A question here for the reporting tree by department. Is it like FRX where the same catalog row and column is used for all the reports linked via the tree? And I hope I paraphrased that correctly.
So if you have, if you're using a reporting tree and you reference that tree in the row or the columns, you've got to use that same tree in the report definition itself. So if I'll have on my screen here like a column definition, and each column that links to the GL database, I can specify the reporting unit from whatever tree I want to use, but whatever tree I use, I've got to also use that tree in the report definition. So I can't use one tree in the column and a different reporting tree in the report definition. They've got to be the same. And that functionality was the same inside FRX as well.
All right. Is there a viewer product similar to the FRX drill down viewer?
So that's the library viewer. The library viewer is the closest match to FRX's drill down viewer. It's a separate application. You open the report up, you drill down to the account level detail, you drill down to the transaction level details. I've got it open on my screen here currently. It looks different than drill down viewer, and you can do more with it than you could with FRX's drill down viewer. But they're essentially equivalent to the two. And the library viewer comes with every install of Management Reporter.
So this person asks, is there a way to use gradient highlighting on the column headers for enhancement of the reports?
Gradient highlighting. You can change the shading for any row or any column of the reports. Not necessarily gradient. It's like the whole row would be one color you pick.
All right. Another question: what is the XBRL? What is the XBRL currency and the XBRL dimension?
All right, let me check that for us. Oh, you see it up here, I guess. That's where they saw that. So I've had very few people that use the XBRL. It's kind of like a nickname or a tag for a group of reports. So you might have a tag for a group of revenue reports. It generates these out to XML files, and you can send that to other agencies that require your financial statements, but only in XBRL format. So you can't just give that insurance company or that bank or that government agency a paper income statement. They want to get that income statement in XBRL in a file that they can easily import into their database. So it's like nicknames for every group of reports that insurance company or government agency or bank is requesting from you. So not everybody, very few of my clients have had those requests from outside agencies, but every row of the report you can tag with an XBRL code.
All right. Here's a couple questions about analytical accounting. One is, how can I get AA dimensions and code dimensions? And then, why don't you take that one, and then I'll go into another.
So your dimensions inside Manage Reporter, if I go into the row definition and double-click on column J for these account numbers, you're only going to see the segments that you have for dimensions. GP, yep, I cannot say that I have tried analytic accounting inside Manage Reporter yet. So put that on a list for me, Jason, and I'll put it in an email back to everybody.
All right, great. I'll mark that one down. And I think you actually touched on the similar question of that sort too. Let's see here. Let me try to get to some questions from some other folks who have been waiting. In the monthly reporting packages, is there a way to insert non-management reporter reports such as a PDF?
So in the library viewer, we can put we have every report that we've ever generated from Management Reporter. You can also right-click and insert external files like Excel files just for supporting detail or Word documents or XPS files. So you can send that into the library viewer. But for the group where I had the set of it's like 6 different reports, those all came out of Managed Reporter, so they were not Excel files or Word documents added to it. So it's just Managed Reporter reports.
All right. Next question. So there are a couple of people asking if this session will be available later. It will. We are recording it. When exporting to Excel, is there a way to export the formulas as well?
No, when you send data out of Managed Reporter to Excel, there's no option to send out formulas. So it just sends the values for each cell. There was an option inside FRX, didn't always work very well in FRX, and for Managed Reporter, they've just gone with values. So no formulas get exported.
If I have actuals in GP but the budget in another system, can I pull both into my income statement?
So actuals get pulled from the GL into your Managed Reporter reports. If you have budget somewhere else, Managed Reporter can pull data from only two options. It can pull data from GL databases, Dynamics, or from Excel. So if you got your budget in Excel, you're fine. Otherwise, you need to get your budget into Dynamics.
All right. How does row definition have functionality to automatically add GL accounts?
So let me jump back over to a row definition for us. I'll do a new one here. So you can open up a new row definition. It's all blank, and under Edit, insert rows from dimensions. You can pull in codes from any of your segments from your GL database. So I've got segment 2. I'm going to pull in every segment 2 value that this company has. Manage Portal will go out, fill in all the account numbers it recognizes and the text as well. And all this would have been copied from the GL database.
We have a question here. Can you copy and paste row and column definitions from FRX to MR?
So you can copy and paste. So if I had this row definition inside FRX, I can highlight certain things and copy from FRX over to here. You can't do the whole thing because Managed Reporter has extra columns, like column E is a new column inside Management Reporter, and column I is a new column. So the columns would be thrown out of alignment. So you can copy like all of column B and paste it over to here from FRX. Column J is a little bit different. You see how the formatting for the text in column J is completely different than how FRX handled account references or segment or dimension references. So you just have to watch how that gets copied over. You might copy those entries from FRX over to Excel, make some changes, and paste it over here in column J for Management Reporter.
All right. Someone asks, how can you tell if you have the web viewer?
So if you have Managed Reporter, under Tools and Options in the Designer application, there's a checkbox. The third checkbox down says Use Management Reporter Viewer as Default Viewer. That's the library viewer. If you uncheck it, any report you generate goes to the web viewer. That's under Tools and Options. It's the third checkbox down. Uncheck it. Any report you generate will go to the web viewer.
All right. Here's an interesting question. Are there any tutorial books or PDFs other than the user's manual that give detailed information on report building that you would recommend?
So they have the online help here under Help and Managed Reporter Help. That's useful. Microsoft has their instructional manual. We have one that we use for our classes, so I'll be glad to sign anybody up for classes for our documents. I'll show a link at that end of that PowerPoint in just a minute. I don't know if anybody else that, I do think I saw a document, a book that was published recently for Management Reporter. Don't have the details on that, but I think there is one that's out there available on Amazon.
All right. So we still have quite a few questions in the queue here, and we're at the top of the hour.
Yep.
Noah, are you able to stick around for a few more, or
yep,
do we need to wrap up?
Let me just put this out there for anybody who's not going to
yeah.
stick around. I have this information for you. I'll stick around and answer some questions after this. But if you need additional information after this, we've got our website, msxgroup.com, our message boards about Management Reporter. We've got training classes and webinars coming up. We've got my email address, which is the best way to get in touch with me, noah.mosley@msxgroup.com. And in 2 weeks, we have a whole day of Management Reporter training. It is April 18th. It's all free online. We do a whole day session for Management Reporter. In the morning, we start off with the beginning for the basics for beginners. And then throughout the day, we get more and more advanced topics. So feel free to register for that. It's on our website, msxgroup.com. at FFMR 2014. We also do that same kind of deal for Forecaster on the 17th and FRX on the 16th. So I've got that information. I'll leave that up. And Jason and I can continue to take any questions that are out there in the question or chat box for us.
Great. And yeah, I would again say if there are any new questions, please do use the Q&A box. It's becoming easier to manage, make sure I don't miss anything.
And I don't know if we have many people out there in Austin, Texas, but I'm planning on being over in Austin teaching a class, like a classroom environment for Management Reporter. Email me if you're interested in the Austin class. It's going to be about the middle of June.
All right, excellent. All right, next question here. Report library. Can we delete old reports in the library, such as ones that have to be rerun, or can they be copied and saved into another folder at least, and maybe just turn into Excel or PDF for distribution?
Sure, yep. So any report you generate from Designer gets saved into the library. Every time you run it, it keeps that copy. So if you have one income statement and you run it 5 times, you'll have 5 different income statements out there just as previous versions. You can keep those or delete those. You can move those to any folders you set up inside the library. And copy those or delete those. It does keep every version that you generate. So when you run your monthly package and you proof the income statement numbers and you're ready to archive or publish those numbers, I move that last version of the income statement to my monthly folder, and I consider that published. Then I go back to the top level of the library, and all the previous versions, I'll delete those because I know those were not finished. I was just testing throughout the month, and I moved my valid copy to the monthly folder already. So a little bit of housekeeping there. I do get rid of any reports that I do not move out to the monthly folders.
A formatting question. Can you use effective dates for row format, for example, using row format A for period 1 and row format B for period 2?
So that was an option inside FRX. So in FRX, you can have a row, column, or a tree that you used for part of the year, but say in March, you reorganized your company, so you had a new reporting tree definition, and you wanted to start using that new tree as of March going forward. So you could do the effective date things inside FRX, but you cannot do that currently inside Management Reporter. So effective dates are not used inside Management Reporter. You would have to build separate report definitions.
All right. How many children levels can be in a tree?
I have not run into a max for Management Reporter.
All right. What we're seeing is that you cannot do a range or 2 departments added through the reporting. It has to all be done through reporting trees. I have over 600 PC that roll up a number of different ways. We didn't use reporting trees in FRX, and I guess there's some confusion on that. Is that enough for a question there?
So it sounds like in FRX there was too many parts of the tree to effectively use inside FRX. You've got a lot more flexibility in Management Reporter as far as ranges or wildcards to help summarize reporting trees. So it might be that a report inside FRX that took 1,000 rows or more could be significantly reduced inside Management Reporter. So look at those again inside Management Reporter. Even though you could not use them inside FRX, it might be a lot easier for you now.
One person asks, is the new version of MR make it possible to maintain graphics after updating any other part of the design of a report?
So you got graphics that are in the headers, like company logos. That is always there. If you're talking about charts and graphs in the library viewer, like you run a report, you're looking at it, you add a chart or graph to it, those do not get copied forward, so you'd have to recreate those. Comments you can copy forward, but not the charts and graphs yet.
Will Management Reporter display missing accounts?
Inside Management Reporter, there is an option to check for missing accounts or dimension IDs from reports. In the Designer, you can go to Tools and Missing Account Analysis. So that helps you troubleshoot that issue. A second option is you might do check rows in your row definitions. And check rows would not tell you what account was missing, but it would let you know if your calculated balances in the row definition do not match what you would have for, say, net income. So check rows is an option inside FRX. If you're not using check rows, go to Tools and Missing Account Analysis.
Do you need to rebuild the data mart if you create a new budget in GP, and are there any other reasons to rebuild the data mart other than the ones you discussed earlier?
So if you create a new budget in GP, that should automatically get copied into the data mart. So you wouldn't have to delete the data mart and rebuild it to pick up that new budget. The only time I've had to worry about deleting and rebuilding the data mart is when I'm missing balances, or for whatever reason I had duplication of balances. And most of those situations are due to maybe you're a new implementation of the GL and you're regularly backing up or restoring a GL database, and Management Reporter just gets confused between the different versions.
Is there a way to get a column to fill with a solid color all the way down when you have a row that has been bolded?
So I guess you try to shade a color, and that's going to make those probably you're talking about lines in the report, and it looks like gaps. I try highlighting the whole column in the column definition, although I think you're still going to see the little lines in between.
All right.
And a lot of these questions that we're doing, we offered some 20-minute follow-up call. So if you signed up for those, I'll be logging in with you on your machine, and I can look at these issues specifically for your company. So if you don't have that, just email me for a free 20-minute review on your system.
Yeah, and for folks who didn't see that, it went out a few days ago, and if you had registered for this event since Monday or Tuesday, you probably wouldn't have seen that offer. I know quite a few people have registered since then. Let's see. Let me try to pick off a couple more here before we close out. Can you sort by description or the segment of the GL account in column J specifically, or in a column?
Yeah, you can sort any rows inside Management Reporter against any column. You go to your row definition, you'll add format code in column C for sorting, and then in column H, you'll tell Management Reporter which column you want to sort by. So you can sort by account numbers, you can sort by descriptions, any of the values. It's easily done with the sort code in the row definition of column C.
All right. Mohammed asks, in AX 2012, and I hope I'm not paraphrasing this wrong, but I want to design project-wise actual versus budget reports. Is it possible, not the GL budget?
So it's not project that we can pull into Management Reporter. It's just the general ledger data, just the dimensions.
All right, and we'll make this our final question here. There are a few others that are a little more technical, a little hard to read out, but we'll make sure you have access to those and can answer them offline, Noah. So here's the one we'll close out with. When you download multi-department to Excel, will each department show up in a different tab or worksheet?
Sure, that's an option. So if you have the income statement using a reporting tree, and you have like 10 different departments, when you export that to Excel, you can have those, every department go to a different tab in Excel. And that one Excel file, different tabs at the bottom. If you have account level detail, the account level detail goes on different tabs as well for each department. And same thing is true for transaction level details. They'll go to each separate tab for each separate department. So you can have plenty of different tabs at the bottom in one Excel file. Yep, easy done. That is, there's one checkbox when you export Excel that you could send all that data to one tab in Excel, but the default is to send it to separate tabs. So easy done. And you'll see that checkbox when you go to export to Excel. It pops up. There's one checkbox that asks you if you want to send it to one file, one tab, or multiple.
All right. Well, we're going to start wrapping up here. Noah, I just want to thank you again for your time today.
No problem, Jason. I'm glad to be here. Appreciate you inviting me.
Yeah, we'll see you again tomorrow for a session on budgeting and Forecaster. So we'll look forward to that same time. Thanks to everyone in the audience for so many great questions. We really love to have all the interest and all the questions coming in here for Noah to answer. So thanks to all of you. Again, the session has been recorded. We will send you an update when the recording is available for viewing. So thanks again, everyone, and we look forward to seeing you future sessions in the BI webcast series, and have a great day.